If there's any other electromagnetic super facilities around anybody else doing any sporting stuff?
There was a report of one. I can't remember what team had it, but yeah, it's getting looked into.
Yeah, the electrical substations, if you have one near any of your facilities, even just near your house. Like if there's one near your house, I'd be worried getting out of your car every single day.
Okay, yeah, you would be. There's a lot of it's been mentioned now in actual press conferences where John Lynch says, yeah, I mean, we're going to definitely look into this. You have to look into it. It seems like there's too much. John Lynch, ex-player, by the way. Mm-hmm. Remember, John Lynch, ex-player. Go ahead and run it.
What I would tell you, Eric, because it deals with allegedly, the health and safety of our players, I think you have to look into everything. And so our guys we've been reaching out to anyone and everyone to see, does a study exist other than a guy sticking an apparatus underneath the fence and coming up with a number that I have no idea what that means. That's what we know exists. We've heard that debunked. So yes, we will look into it. We have, the health and safety of our players is of the utmost priority. We pour into it. Our ownership, Jed, tremendous in terms of resources, and we'll always be cognizant of things. I know that a lot of games have been won at this facility, since it opened, and so, but yeah, we aren't going to turn a blind eye. We'll look into everything.
As you know, California, if you've been following my content, is ground zero for all the effects of Agenda 2030. The injections are killing so many people in California due to the fact that they've blocked out the sun. But there's something else about California that a lot of you guys don't know. See, our skyline changed back in 2020. The towers that are behind RFK Jr. in this photo, every 50 yards, these towers are up. So when you look at the skyline of the city of Los Angeles, for example, you see these massive towers everywhere. Now, I travel the country. When I noticed that we don't have these in other states, I left Los Angeles. And I made the right decision. Everyone I know that lives beneath these towers is sick, or they're developing these weird cancers, these weird diseases. It's like this strange thing that correlates when these towers went up. Now, the towers in California started erecting during the lockdown. I remember in March, in April of 2020, seeing everybody's on lockdown. You're supposed to stay home, but I see, people that work for telecom companies putting these towers up, these massive bohemian towers in school campuses at first. Then they started putting them along the freeway, then in the neighborhoods. And in California, they would put like a palm tree, like a fake tree, so that you wouldn't notice how many of these towers there are. First things first, we don't know what these towers do. They tell you it's for cell reception, but our phones don't move any faster than they did back in 2019. Nothing's any different. Then they said that they were for GPS, but we already have ground positioning systems. We already have that. So no one, and then you find out when you open up your cell phone, there's no G5. Remember the 5G technology and all? It was all fake. There's no new technology in your phone that's making it work instantly, or the speed of sound or lightning, or doing all this magical. No. Our phones are the same as they were back in 2019. So let's just keep in mind, we don't even know what these towers are for. We don't know what they do. The earliest suggestions were that whatever they're injecting into people inside the vaccine, those towers are able to detect it. And maybe they were connecting you to a network. Those were the earliest suggestions. The problem is now that RFK Jr. and Trump have won, that entire agenda of basically euthanizing the American people by using technology, and if you're going to survive the vaccine, using technology to make you sick, is being dismantled. RFK Jr. has been saying the same things I've been saying for years, which is the towers must fall. See, people don't understand. There are no long-term studies. These towers go outside. Well, if you're in California, walk outside and just look up. Look up on the top of the poles. Look at the streetlights. These towers it's alien technology, to put it simply. We've never seen anything like them. We don't know who designed them. We don't even know where they come from. The earliest signs of the development were they said these were these were made by Huawei in China. And the home of the 5G technology is magically a city by the name of Wuhan. So there's all these weird, I don't believe in coincidences, but there's so many different things. But these towers are all over California. They're not all over Arizona. I did see a bunch near the freeway in Vegas, but nothing like LA. And the further east you go, the less and less you saw. I remember the reason I relocated to Houston is because I was moving into an apartment, but about 5 streets away was this massive, and it was like 6 layers. Like you see on the picture behind RFK, it's 2 layers. This one was 6 layers in Houston, but it was only one. There was no smaller relays that it was connecting to 50 or 100 yards away. It was just by itself. So, and honestly, even that was too close. So I moved to Tanglewood. I moved to the other side of, I lived maybe about 6 miles away. There are no towers to this date in my neighborhood. But everyone I know is developing all these weird cancers, diseases. So last week, I lost 6 friends in LA. Today's Thursday, I've lost 3. 3 people. One died in his sleep, 31 years old. Everyone I know is sick and dying, and it's not even by murder anymore. They're just having all these weird health complications in their 30s. All of them complied. Everybody had an excuse in California. Oh, I know somebody in the hospital. I got to take the shot. Oh, I'm a comedian. I want to go into the club. I got to take the shot. Oh, they're going to make it. So I'm going to need it to fly eventually. I might as well just take the shot. The pressure was on. California's ground zero. San Francisco is located in where? California. Because there are no long-term studies of the effects of these towers in close proximity to the human body, well, you are the experiment. And now, finally, people with influence and prominence are noticing a pattern. All of our players, their bodies are just disintegrating before our eyes. See, that's what this means. Your body, your entire body, these electromagnetic, the electromagnetic frequency or whatever is being generated by these towers, it's debilitating, and it's basically just wearing your body away, making it age. So now we're seeing all these injuries and all these, but people who train and live in places where there are no towers, they're healthy and they're normal people. These towers must come down, all of them, but the damage has already been done. I don't even know if you can reverse the sickness that I'm seeing from all my friends and family that have been in California these past 4 years, 5 years. I don't know if you can reverse it. I have no idea. It doesn't look like it, but maybe if you just get away from them, maybe your body can heal if you haven't done too much damage to your immune system by taking all those shots. But, I'm glad to see someone mainstream like McAfee talking about this topic. People shy away from it. I don't. When I studied the vaccine, the 5G release plus the vaccine, they all came out. They all worked in sync. They scared you to death, and they told you that there was a new virus going around. But really, it was just that these towers started going up, and whatever signal these towers are getting off is having a reaction with the human body. That's why antibiotics didn't work when you were sick. You thought you had a fake new virus called COVID. Well, you were really sick from electromagnetic radiation exposure. Why do you think you lost your sense of smell and taste? You had electromagnetic radiation sickness. You didn't have a new virus. However, because you don't understand how that works, they told you had a brand new novel virus. Then they can tell you what you're going to do to treat it. The treatment's going to kill you for something you don't have. These fake vaccines and shelter in place. And, we got to put you on a ventilator because you have electromagnetic radiation sickness. Why do you think there was a 99.96 recovery rate? What is the electromagnetic radiation sickness recovery rate? It's the same. And if you're sick from radiation exposure, what are you going to have? Flu-like symptoms. See, this is September 24th, 2021. I have been telling people the towers must fall. See, these are all my own research. My own research. I look into all these things on my own. I didn't really need any help. So when you're looking at the exposure and you're wondering, okay, it's flu-like symptoms, that's how you know that's all it is. You don't all of a sudden develop some kind of, you don't start spitting glitter out of your ass or nothing. And you can say, oh man, this is COVID. This isn't something else. No, it's literally flu-like symptoms. So they're telling you that you're having these flu-like symptoms because of a new virus, but really having radiation exposure sickness. And it was only temporary, and eventually it would go away. But in the meantime, they're convinced you, if you don't want to get sick again and lose your sense of smell and taste, you got to let us give you these injections. This technology is around the United States, but they stopped it in other states. California is ground zero for everything. Gavin Newsom turned his back on Californians and gave you guys over to the World Economic Forum, and they've been experimenting on you and wiping and basically depopulating you ever since. So many people are dead in California from those shots, and no one's talking about it. So I'm glad that the 49ers are actually giving this the attention they need. How can a doctor come out and debunk it? These doctors don't know shit. You don't even study the subject. How would you know? And there are no long-term studies. Nobody knows. All we can go off of is the evidence that we can see right now before us. How many of you want to gamble with your health? I thought you would have learned your lesson after 2020. Let's take a listen.
Listen, yeah, I'll definitely look into it because I don't want the players that I'm paying a lot of money to potentially be getting injured by something that is nowhere near their own control, or getting set up to get injured by something that is nowhere near their control.
Well, no, I mean, it was reported long ago. If you take the vaccine or if you live around these towers, your immune system is going to become destroyed. So what that means also is that the natural nanotechnology your body has, like how it repairs and heals itself, will be depleted. Your body won't have the ability to heal itself. And that also will contribute to you being injured. It'll affect your recovery. So your bones are becoming more brittle. Your body is literally being broken down from the inside out, like you're in a microwave. Why do they remember they used to tell us you shouldn't have a microwave in your house? Didn't they tell you that it'll bake your body and all these other, imagine now, and a lot of these players live right next to the station, right next to the towers, right next to the stadium. And they're just literally being bombarded with radiation 24/7. Not all the teams, but the 49ers. So this is a controlled experiment. We're actually seeing what happens when you live next to these things versus when you don't, which is why I do not live near any towers. Before I move anywhere, I drive around the neighborhood. That's how I decided to move to Texas. There was no towers in the skyline, blue skies, stoplights. In California, it looks like you're basically living on a grid somewhere on some kind of dystopian novel. Look up above every street light in California. You're going to see these big ass alien technology towers that nobody can explain to you what they're even for or what they do. We don't even know who pays for them. Did you know at the base of these towers, there's a substation? There is a substation at the base of each tower. We don't know. Matter of fact, I'll give you up close and personal. Substation. There's a substation on the base of these towers. I know because I went up close to some and I've done reporting on it. Let's see here. PubMed. Where is the one? See, this is me. This is look at July 24th of 2020. 5G towers are up everywhere in LA. My God. Look at this on top of this of the public storage. And it just got worse and worse. And look at this. There's already people. This is I share this May 28th of 24. The Trump administration deployed harmful 5G transmitter systems next to homes in the US and workplaces. Look at this. There's already people screaming about getting rid of these towers for years. 5G, if 5G is so safe, why do the wireless companies warn their shareholders but not consumers? Let's see here. The 5G cell phone is a lie. There's no new technology inside your phone that is using 5G. It's all fake. We don't know what the towers do. This is now in certain countries, they're taking the towers down because they've posed a health risk. They're removing these towers. You know, everybody's not going to be on board with just wiping out their own people. Americans are so divided, nobody cares about their fellow Americans. But in other countries, they're tearing down the towers. And remember, no trees would grow on the towers when they're turned on. Birds wouldn't even lay nests on them. This is all stuff that I've been sharing over the years. This is me driving in September of 2020. Look, take a look.
So we're approaching right now
7th Street and the 10th Freeway. Wow, this is me. During the lockdown, I came to Arizona. So this is September of 2020. And I was studying the same stuff. See, I didn't have a microphone. But let's take a listen. Now, what is in this area that is pretty remarkable is that you see a lot of these towers going up, but they're only going up in certain places. They're all going up around junior high schools, elementary schools, and high schools, mainly around the football field, but also Banner Hospital Rehabilitation Center, and boom, 5G, all on the top of that garage right there, facing the fucking hospitals. Look at this, right here. Look at these towers. Look at these towers. They're not everywhere yet, but they're around a medical plaza and a fucking hospital. And then they're telling you why you're in a hospital. They're telling you that you're sick because you got a new virus, but they don't even want to consider you got some alien technology literally facing your window 20, 30 yards away, irradiating everybody in the building or whatever it's emitting. We don't know, but we know this. We know that they have their own power source at the bottom and they're not on the city grid. So even if the electricity goes out for the whole area, these towers are going to stay on. They all have their own massive substation at the bottom. I'll show you. We're at the medical part. So, let's get out. So this is the equipment that it takes to power these. All these huge towers of electricity that we don't know what they do. And this is what they came and built to power. Lots of power, lots of electricity, lots of secrets. So this is a rehabilitation center, hospital. And I'll be honest, this makes perfect sense. You can slow down a person's rehabilitation, so that way they're going to need your services more and more. So there's an incentive to build these towers around hospitals because remember, they don't make money when you're healthy. They make money when you're sick and in a certain situation. So when they're putting these towers strategically around places where they want you to stay sick, they don't want you to get better, so you need them more. You got to keep paying them with your insurance. It makes more sense why they would put these strategically in these locations. That's the point I'm making. Right here. Those are windows to the rooms of the hospital. And look what's pointed directly inside. All this only came up through lockdown. None of these were here before lockdown. We don't need faster internet. We don't download anything. We already have lightning fast internet speed. And we have fiber optic cables that travel underground that connect everything. That's how we have internet. So what are these really for? It's crazy. Years later, and no one still has been able to answer that question. Nobody knows. Nobody knows, but now finally, years later, people are noticing there are health issues. Cooperation or there's health issues amongst people that live in proximity to these towers to the point where they're saying, hey, our best athletes are getting injured at crazy rates and they're not healing. See, getting injured is one thing you can't avoid, but why are you getting injured so easily, for one question? And for two, why is it taking you so long to heal? That's the other question. Again, these massive towers have their own substation at the bottom, and we don't know what they do.
From the FCC proceedings, with one of the 5G engineers saying themselves, look, we are forcing these directed beams into people's windows at levels that we do not allow in our labs, in our safety labs.
But get this, wireless companies in the U.S. say they'll have to install about 300,000 new antennas for the rollout of 5G. That is roughly equal to the total number of cell phone towers built over the past 3 decades.
We won't stop.
Tiny wavelengths, much shorter than the ones the current 4G networks work on. That means cell towers or receptors will need to be much closer.
It's not just headaches and insomnia. It's much more serious things, such as infertility, DNA damage, and eventually cancer.
And what have we noticed 4 years later with these towers going up after the vaccines have been injected? No one's pregnant anymore. It's not that we're having less sex or we're using protection more. Just no one's able to get pregnant. And now everybody has all these weird exotic cancers. People that leukemia, everyone has leukemia now. There's a lot of issues. And now we're saying people are not only are they getting injured, but they're not healing as fast or able to heal at all. They're just being injured indefinitely. And they're talking about this. Now, these videos that I'm sharing with you guys, this is from August 28th of 2020. Like, this information has been out there. You just have to pay attention.
Tonight, Julie Watts.
Testing. Let me say that again. Without safety testing. And how we've got.
What did he say?
But tonight, Julie Watts asked the question you're not supposed to ask. Are there legitimate health concerns?
It's being rolled out worldwide without safety testing. Let me say that again. Without safety testing. And how we've got scientists and doctors and environmental organizers saying, stop this. Because in terms of the effects of wireless radiation, the science is in. Wireless radiation can lead to cancerous heart tumor.
Is safety tested before and
Ready to say.
System the people around them. So this is a cell tower.
Well, a few days to human.
On top. False. Tiny electric signal.
That our lives.
which should
to autism can lead to cancerous heart tumors.
Now, this is from Russia Today. Remember, once Putin, they said they got rid of Russia Today because of the invasion of the Ukraine, but this is actually maybe about a month or two before the invasion. They were talking about the 5G towers on Russia Today because this is censored in the United States. And they got rid of Russia Today after talking about it. The entire agenda is to depopulate and weaken the American population because we're armed. So an invasion to a heavily armed populace is not going to work because you'll lose. So it's 5G and it's fifth dimensional, fourth dimensional warfare that we're fighting right now. And a lot of it is manipulation. Now half the country would join enemy forces to fight against another half of the country. That's where we are. So this is all just about just weakening the United States because we were too strong.
Brain tumors, DNA damage, wireless radiation is linked to infertility, to autism, Alzheimer's.
What we have is the industry clearly lying to public representatives, which should outrage you enough that you stop the process. And what you need to understand is no wireless device, and 5G included,
Not ready to be unleashed into our lives.
5G can be a tremendous boom to California, but only if it can be put up quickly and easily. I know scientifically that putting up these cell phone towers is safe.
But the International Association of Firefighters disagrees.
So now you fast forward 5 years later and look at what's happening.
Fascinating, because then he said, is there studies? I don't know if anybody's looked into this. This might be the first time that we've ever heard of this as a society. It feels like we're all learning about it together. If anybody can point me in the direction of somebody who might have more information on this. And I think what's going to happen is you're probably going to hear more from people in.
I have more information on it. They literally told you this proximity to these towers will damage your human DNA. It's reported these 49ers, not only do they train here, but they live here right next to these towers, and their DNA is being literally obliterated. It's happening to everyone in California. Their DNA is being broken down, and then now you're seeing a spike in all these, like I said, exotic diseases, exotic cancers, leukemia. And for the cancers they're telling you you might not even have leukemia. You might have something else, and they don't know what to call it. The easiest thing to do is just attribute it to being leukemia, because that's the closest thing to what they're noticing. But it is something completely different, and they don't even have a proper name for it because it'll raise too many alarms right now and it'll scare people. So they're just calling it something that you're already familiar with.
Different places potentially to see what's real, what isn't. And then, like anything, there's probably a lot of money on one side as well.
Yeah.
So
do me a favor, share the video, like the channel, subscribe to the channel. I do all types of deep dives into topics like this that are not necessarily black and white questions and topics other people don't want to talk about. So I appreciate you guys for all tuning in. We're on 8 different platforms right now. So let's get back to the show.
So, I mean, fascinating development here, as injuries are literally your biggest risk whenever you're running an NFL team. Obviously, you have storm risk and other type of stuff outside of your business, I guess, that could potentially happen. But whenever
it's crazy, big pharma are going to be the biggest beneficiary, the biggest benefits of the breaking down of your DNA, giving you cancer, electromagnetic radiation exposure, sickness that's debilitating your body. The biggest beneficiaries of this downfall of bad things happening to humans is going to be big pharma, because they are going to have to come up with treatments for all of these cancers you're having, or the damage you've done to your DNA, or any of these symptoms you're experiencing. They are going to have to prescribe you other drugs you're going to need to stay alive because of what they gave to you before. So you're literally going to be a customer for life. And you're caught up in their system. There's nothing you can really do about it if you took these shots and you have been living around these towers.
Whenever it comes to how much money you pay people and players versus the cost of whenever they're not there, and what it does to your business as a whole, and the devastation that takes place to your entire operation, especially if you lose Micah Parsons. Not that this is anything to do with that particular thing, but injuries are your biggest, can change the entire trajectory of your business, of legacies, of futures, of the league, everything like that. So if there is something from this that leads to the biggest risk for these NFL owners, you would think that they would want, for the good of their businesses, to have this potentially be corrected, is the hope in this entire thing. What I fear might happen, because it does feel like this happens, boy, there's going to be stats on coming from.
You know, what if in the future, not too distant, we find out the NFL knew what they were doing and they signed up their players to be experimented on? NBA too, NFL, just those 2 leagues though, not the baseball league, not the hockey, but the NBA and the NFL. What if what I've been saying about how this was all developed to depopulate the black population specifically? What if it turns out that that's all true? What are you going to do about it? And the question is, you're not going to do much, because by the time this information becomes mainstream, the 13% will only be about 5%. Right now, they're at 9%. There's already been, there's less 10 million black people since 2020. They're easy, 10 million dead, easy already. And they're past the point of replacement. They've sterilized their abortion. There is no replacing them. So that population is going to be so small by the time it comes out, there won't be anybody left to protest.
You know, because this side's not going to want to, you know, just, yeah, you're right, we'll just change. That never really
That's
happened.
already, there's been narratives out there have been like, you know, they hired a new PT staff or whatever the same year that this happened. And stuff.
There's always going to be, because the electric substation, they have people that would like to see that thing have success in that. You know what I mean? So,
Power at the stadium.
Yeah, there's going to.
I was going to say,
so there's going to be a lot of people that are going to come back the other way, and I think you're going to hear a lot of players be like, "No, I think this is a direct correlate. I think this is what's been happening. I think you're going to continue to hear that, but then you're going to hear the counter argument, and then what's going to actually happen. At this exact moment, I would like to predict that we will never get an actual answer, but I hope that's not the case. I hope we do find out what's right for all of society and these players and athletes who are risking their bodies already. They don't need anything else trying to hurt them in the process.
Yeah, and I appreciate, you know, John Lynch saying, hey, they're gonna look into it and they're gonna see what they can do. And I don't want to be naive, but did you see how big that electrical substation was in comparison to the stadium? So even if, like, let's say that 100% this is contributing to this, what are they going to do? They're going to pick this thing up and
you
move
practice in scuba suits.
Well, yeah, you're going to, because guess what? That electrical substation, I don't think that thing's going anywhere. It's powering the stadium. It's probably powering quite a bit of homes around the area.
Is there one at other stadiums? I mean,
yeah.
Genuinely, I have not done the research. It's like,
in other states, they have something called regulations and zoning. They're not allowed to build these substations above ground or next to where people live. In California, because the governor is a part of this whole World Economic Forum agenda, he was able to get all of these safety guards removed so that they can put this technology anywhere. This is all an experiment, and it's all going right for the people that were behind it. They wanted to see people damaged. They want to see people sick. They want to see people die, and it's happening. They're trying their best to run you out of California. If they couldn't price you out, then they made you leave because of the vax. And if you stayed even after that, they made it so that if you have a business, people can steal from you and you can't call the police. And they made it so that you can't evict people. And then they tried to burn you out with flyers. They want you all gone from California. They only want the poorest of the poor there who are going to entrench their communist little utopia and keep them in power forever. And that's why they want the rest of you gone, because if you're alive and you're healthy, you're making money, you're an independent person. They just want a bunch of dependents. They want you to leave California. So that's why you're seeing all this. It's all focused on California. All of it.
There's going to be I think there's going to be a lot of this, but I appreciate John Lynch, ex-player, being like, we would certainly like to know if something is making our investment not be available anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Like that is certainly something NFL teams should be looking into. But to his point, who's going to be the authority on this? You know,
nuclear. When the college kids kick and you ask what their major is, a lot of time it's
something. How come none of them have really given me an answer?
That's what I'm saying.
When I say, what are you going to do? Are they like taught immediately to say nothing whenever they have like these
kids
majors?
They don't know. These kids change their majors 10 times during their, college run. So that's just what, that day, that's kind of what they're interested in.
Okay. So we don't even know if that's necessarily any of these majors.
That year they are that major. But
what does that mean? What are you going to do?
I don't know. Ask me next year.
Trying to figure it out still.
Ask me when I'm a senior, because I feel like you always, like, for some reason, the kicker's always like freshman or sophomore.
You know why?
Because
to get there, it's like a rite of passage, it feels like. Like, hey, it's your duty to represent for our university, I think.
Yeah.
It's like a younger, because you got to be in there. Used to be early morning. It did start to felt like overnight. And then it was like 3-4 days. It's almost like in the Greek life, I feel like the youngs have to go through something to get in, right? Everybody talks about it. Feels like that is just kind of like a university sports fan base, fanatical fan base. It does feel like they're all trying to represent for like the school. And I think it is most
very loud because a Super Bowl team is going to have to practice there. So if one of those, like
one of the coaches is going to say something,
it being this loud, this week, 2 weeks out from teams having to work there, like you would assume they're already maybe looking at like a USC but I don't know where any of those schools are in relation to
USC's.
In my opinion, now players from all over the country and their team owners are going to have to start looking around just to make sure nothing new is going up around their stadiums. And if they are there, they're going to have to negotiate and they're going to have to say, hey, the health of our players, until we have more information, we can't risk it. It's too risky. Oh, they're going to tell you, oh, no, everything's safe. How do you know? No one has any information. We don't even know who designed these towers. We don't know who designed this equipment. No idea. No clue. I know San Marin County in Northern California had the highest cancer rates, and they said it was due to all the electrical wires that were passing over certain neighborhoods. We know that there's an electrical reaction with the human body and these outside forces, but this is new technology, so we don't know how it's necessarily going to affect us. I've been sharing this data for years. Go to my Facebook, type it in. I've been talking about this stuff and sharing information for as long as I could. $1 million question. This is me, August 19th of 2020. This was a show that I shared.
He said, well, is 5G for humans or machines?
Oh.
Yeah, because it is not good for humans. I had a doctor here a couple days ago, not one of those conspiracy doctors.
Yeah.
The opposite. He thinks you should wear a mask. He thinks COVID is very real. He created this formula called fuelforclosers.com.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, but ultimately it's just this Kevlar for your cells. You won't get sick. He won't make that claim, but that's what he says when we're not on air. you take this shit, you won't get sick. Why? Because he's developed this shit for your immunity.
Yeah.
But anyway, he's not a freaking right-wing doctor. He's a cellular level, 32-year high-level doctor now. He goes to the White House. I mean, he counsels everybody. 30 years ago, everyone said he was a quack, by the way. So when you start listening to people going, oh, this guy's a quack. Dude, 30 years ago, this guy was considered a quack, but everything he said turned out to be correct. Anyway, he said 5G is 100% not good for a human being, period.
Cellularly.
So none of these claims are new. These people just, they focus on sports and they kind of ignore the world around them. January 26th of 2022, cell phone towers shut down at elementary school after 8 kids are diagnosed with cancer in mysterious cluster. Graphene oxide reacting with cell phone technology. This is from August of 2020.
How old are they that are thinking this, that like pass it on? Like, why is it like taking all this time? Why 2020?
Well, they didn't think it would be 50 years, these socialist communists. They thought it would take maybe 20 years. And they think long term. The Chinese think even longer term. They'll have 100-year plans. Even if they don't live 100 years, they'll say, we're going to do this, so in 100 years this happens. They're very clever. I've lived in China. I've been around China for 20 years. And I'll put some names out there. David Made is clever people. I brought them to even the nicest ones who are against communists. They're so clever. They'll look at your face, and the facial recognition will be nothing. You can't tell them.
And that's the thing. We're at odds with the Chinese. They're not our allies. They're our adversaries. And this technology, again, originated in Wuhan, China. We don't know anything else about it. People have been talking about this for so long, and nobody said anything. So this is not new. This is old. We're just now finding out about it, and now we're starting to see the effects of it. Some of our healthiest warriors, their bodies are disintegrating. Their bodies are becoming brittle, like they have cancer. Like they're falling apart. Like you don't even, and they're not healing. So there is some validation behind these EMP claims, but there's more these towers are doing more than just emitting EMP. There's a lot going on, and hopefully with RFK Jr. at the helm, we will get to the bottom of this data and spread it to the public, and the towers will fall. Like and subscribe, share the video. I'd love to hear from you guys. I want your input. I'm going to put this video up in a few hours, so stay tuned, and remember, America first and America only.
I've been needing to find a new apartment, which has not been easy with credit as bad as mine. Luckily, I found cosigning.com. They connected me with a cosigner who helped me get my dream apartment for me and my dog. I just paid a small fee and was able to move in fast. Get the cosigner you need for the apartment you want. Check out cosigning.com today.